Alright, One Piece chapter 1078, and oh my god, what a crazy chapter. I'm loving this so much. We're gonna jump straight into it for now, right? We're gonna jump straight to the end of this chapter. I usually would build up, but we might work backwards this chapter because there's a lot in it that I want to talk about right now. Let's start with the whole York being the traitor now. You know as much as I do that I'm not a traitor guy. I wasn't interested in it. I even outright dismissed it in previous videos. I wasn't a big fan of it. But I do have to say, this reveal changes everything. Because it makes sense, right? It's greed. You know, she's greed. That makes perfect sense. And I also like how it's kind of placed, right? Because we know Vegapunk thirsts for knowledge. He thirsts for something, and when he wants something, he forgets about everyone else. So to think that, you know, the embodiment of his greed, which he has a lot of without the embodiment of greed, without his greed fully within him, when he has him now as the husk he is, having that much greed already, should have told us what his embodiment of his actual greed would have been like. And the fact she wants to be a celestial dragon, because they have her just sitting around doing nothing, so she wants to be the pinnacle of that, which is the celestial dragons. So her wanting to be a celestial dragon both covers the fact that when Vegapunk wants something, he doesn't care about anything else in York. And then also the fact that what they've been doing have also made her want to be the celestial dragons, which is the top of doing nothing and just get that sort of stuff. Which also is a dig at the celestial dragons, which works for Oda's idea of the story. I think it's great. Everything about this is great. This reveal is perfect. Now, my Yasop idea I still prefer. That would have been funny if he was just trying to mess with Usopp and screw around. He was like, here we go. Bam. You know? That would have been very funny. I would have enjoyed that a lot. But in all seriousness, this is a great reveal, to be honest. To have York be the main antagonist for this arc. Well, obviously not the main antagonist. We have Saint J. Garcia coming and we have Kizaru. But it's good to have her be like the kind of we're going to call it Act 1 antagonist. You know, how I think that's going to be very interesting to see how she is. Because if you've noticed, she's obviously pretty weak because we have the Seraphim. Seraphim are kicking ass. They are actually destroying everyone, and it's great to see them kick ass because I do love to see the Straw Hats kick ass, but to see the Seraphim absolutely destroy everyone. Hell, even Luffy's having some struggle with it. But I feel like this brings up an important question. You know what? Let's move on from York because there's not much we can talk about right now. There is a bit we can go back over, but I think the Seraphim, in my opinion, being this strong, a king is definitely as strong as these Seraphim, right? I'm not like King. It was a hell of an opponent. If he kept his flames on, he could have beaten Zoro. So we understand that Zoro was just lucky as all hell that King was being an idiot the entire time. He was being so stupid. The man could have wrecked house and he just decided not to, right? And I was even talking to a friend about this. We were talking if he could beat Kaido. I don't think he could beat Kaido because I think Kaido, the second he needs to, because it actually increases your speed and power when you turn off the flames, it just lowers your defense. Kaido would just one shot him. Same with Luffy probably. Well, no, actually. Luffy would probably be in the same field as Zoro because I do think, honestly, I made my top 30 and I put Zoro at 80. I don't agree with that anymore. It's just I haven't seen him use it again. Because I think by the end of this year, we're going to see him use it more effectively. So I'll have a better rating for him. But with Sanji being at the level here where he's actually the only one taking care of his Seraphim because he is a Lunarian. Like, this is a good fit for him. He's basically fighting a more advanced version of himself, right? So he's just working his way through his new powers, basically, is essentially what he's doing. And he doesn't need to turn on his speed feats. He's just immediately fast. So he can have what essentially amounts to having the flame on the whole time, but still being super fast. And we might actually see him turn on, like, find a way for him. He's mixed with the DNA of a human, right? So they might give him another version of turning your flame on, right? Maybe that's his eyebrows. His eyebrows symbolize it. So the whole time he's had the flame off or something, and then he put the flame on, or it's the other way around for the queen fight. We're gonna see those two different versions of him show up, and I think it's a really good way of symbolizing it through his eyebrows. Now, you know me, I'm gonna forget where his eyebrows were originally placed, so I don't know if this chapter fills that gap in. But my whole point is, if his eyebrows changing symbolizes all this, I think it's gonna be a very good parallel, and we might see him make really good use of the different types of abilities it's given. It also does mean if Zoro learns how to beat the shit out of a Seraphim, lads, I think Sanji will be forever weaker than Zoro, unfortunately. Although I do think at the current moment he's stronger than Zoro, which I am very happy about. I don't think there's been a moment in the story other than this where he's been stronger than Zoro, so this is very good. There has been moments where Zoro has been stronger than Luffy, like in my opinion, NS Lobby and stuff like that. Pre-time skip even the entirety of pre-time skip, I would argue Zoro was stronger than Luffy because he was injured so often. I think post-time skip Luffy has been very clearly stronger, but it's just a thing where you've kind of got a thing where the three of them are intermittently the strongest in the crew, and Sanji's never been number one. He has been number two on occasion, but he's never been number one, I don't think. Which is unfortunate for him, but I think now we're seeing his peak, you know, where he's going to be at. If he gets Conqueror's Haki, that'd be cool. He'll get another advancement, and we'll see some really, really cool character moments between the three, I think. I think now what you're seeing is three potential Yonko candidates. Yonko level characters in Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy. I think it's very hard to argue, at least for Zoro, that he's not on Yonko level, because he's fighting alongside Luffy so much, and also we know he's able to beat Queen, and he's able to do so much damage to Kaido, giving him a permanent scar. And I think if we're putting Zoro on that level, we're also putting Sanji there, because I do believe he's stronger. So I do think all of the monster trio at this point, in my opinion, are Yonko level. But I do think all three are Yonko level combatants at this point. I think it's very clear. But I'm very excited to see where all three of them are at the end of this arc, and I think Jinbei is going to get a proper display as well. I hope so. I hope all the Straw Hats get really good displays. I hope we see Robin use her demon form more effectively. At some point, we're going to get a hybrid version of that where she shrinks down into like a more like succubus style thing, like what's her name? Stussy has for her form. We're probably going to see that with Robin at some point, a shrunken down version of that, so it's easier for her to control, or it's a more, you know what I mean? And that's probably going to be how she's going to fight different people, or you'll have little like shadow clone versions of the demon form. I think that's going to be really cool. But now that we've talked about power scaling for a bit, I could talk about Nami, but to be honest with Nami, it's just like getting Haki at this point. She has a really cool arsenal, she just needs to get Haki. But I am of the belief, actually, before we move on from this topic, I would just want to reiterate that I am of the belief that all the Seraphim are around the same level. I do think very specific Seraphim might be stronger due to their innate abilities. Like, I'd say, if some of the Seraphim didn't have Conqueror's Haki, like their original selves, I don't think they're as strong. So, for example, Boa Hancock, Mihawk, the Doflamingo Seraphim, probably the Kuma Seraphim, are stronger than, like, let's say the Moria Seraphim who didn't have Conqueror's Haki or something like that. You know what I mean? I think who they were copied off does matter, but I do think relatively it's like their levels aren't as different. I do think the ones we're getting shown the most in the Boa, Mihawk, and Kuma ones are definitely the strongest, and I think also the Doflamingo one is an absolute beast. I don't care. I thought he was going to be the traitor, but I hope at this point we get to see him because he's going to be so cool. In fact, we might actually get to see him. Oh, the first command that Jay Garcia gives, right? What if it's every one of them comply, but the Doflamingo Seraphim comes out and he just, because obviously he has a hatred for the Celestial Dragons because of how they didn't invite him back in, he just comes in and he attacks, like he goes straight for him. He like attacks him, goes straight for him, and that's when we have to see what Jay Garcia is actually capable of, or we get to see Kizaru intercept. But I'd really like to see Jay Garcia handle that himself, which we can move on to this topic now. It's a perfect segue into what the narrator is hyping up here, right? So we're gonna go to this page right now, right? Because this was incredible stuff. Because they're talking about the final war, basically. There's a massive war coming on. They're trying to do a buster call on the island. This is bigger than O'Hara. Like, I never thought we'd get to a point where we're seeing a panel with Jay Garcia, one of the 5 elders, and Kizaru coming to fight Luffy. And they're taking him real seriously. Like, when they heard Luffy was coming to this island, they were shitting themselves, man. They were like, oh dear God, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. And that is so good. I can't wait to see this. We might get a Luffy versus Kizaru fight. We might get a reverse of the St. Charles thing, where St. Charles whacks Luffy to the ground. And have a glimpse at what the final power, the final ceiling for the One Piece world is going to be. I don't think it's going to go too much higher than Marineford generally. Like, they kind of set their ceiling with Marineford, and I hope it doesn't change too drastically, because I want it to be a very consistent story, right? The only character I can see being like an entirely different level by the end of the series is Luffy, Blackbeard, and Emu, right? But I do think the ceiling is going to go from let's say it's mountain level at the moment to probably country level by the end of the series. Yeah, I'd say country level is probably where it's going to be, because obviously Pluton's a massive warship that can destroy planets. Or destroy islands. I don't think we're ever going to get to planetary level, which I think is grand for One Piece, to be honest with you. I think that's entirely fine. But I'm really excited for this final war and to see how they're going to escape, because they're obviously going to try and pull a Whole Cake Island escape thing. They're not going to try and stay on the island, because we need to get to Elbath. Because if Elbath is just a kid arc where we get to see in the background, I'd be a little disappointed. But if that gives us more kid stuff, I don't think I'd be completely devastated by it. I think it'd be an interesting turn of events. I wouldn't be devastated by it, because Egghead is getting so good. And every chapter I'm like, oh my God, I just need more of this. I really do. We got some really cool new new designs for characters. Like, we got someone who looks like the octopus from Hunter x Hunter. Some guy with a chiseled chin, and some guy with a really long mustache. I like the guy with the really long mustache. I hope he's like really powerful. I hope Doll's really powerful as well. I hope she's like an absolute beast. I don't know. I need some of Smoker's allies to be absolutely wrecking house, lads. I need that. You know what I mean? And just to see them compare Luffy to an emperor is so great, man. It really is. Shaka, man. I hope Shaka's still alive. Talking about that. We can move back to the war talk at some point, but I actually do want to just talk about Shaka real quick. I really hope that man's alive, because I wouldn't mind if all of the Vegapunks are dead, as long as Shaka is still around, because he's my favorite design, right? I love the mask. I love the whole coat. I really want that coat. Well, not official. I might cosplay Shaka at some point, because Shaka's an easy thing to do in a wheelchair, bro. All I need is a nice long jacket and a mask or whatever, and I'll probably need some shoes. That's what I was doing. I'm supposed to be doing Shanks at some point. Crippled Shanks boys. I gotta do that now. You know, that'd be some sick shit. But I love the design for Shaka, so I hope he is definitely the one who survives. I think also he will be, because he was the one talking to Dragon. Dragon's definitely coming to Egghead, by the way. There's no way in hell he's not coming to Egghead, and I am so happy about that, man. We're gonna get to see Luffy and Dragon, hopefully, man. I hope we get to see it, because he's been teasing us with Luffy and Shanks for like a couple chapters now, basically the entire year. Shanks is up to Wano, doesn't see Luffy. We get to see Shanks with Kid, but we don't get to see him with Luffy. We need to see Luffy with one of those people at some point this year, and I hope it's Dragon. Even if it's the last chapter of the year, I need to see it. He's getting me too excited. I'm gonna burst a blood vessel. You see, he's got me so flustered, I'm fucking slurring me words. Like, what can I do here, lads? I'm actually really excited for this. I want to see how they handle Dragon's power and where Dragon sits on that podium. Because, you know me, 2 years ago I had him top 1. Obviously that did change. I can't remember where I have him now. But I'm excited to see where he is. And until we meet Dragon, Luffy is not stronger than him. Because the shonen trope of dads being stronger until they see their kids. In fact, the only one who isn't that is Bardock, right? Because he's dead. But I need this so much now. I really do. This is a mad arc. I'd say Sabo and Vivi are gonna show up. Hopefully, well, maybe not Sabo. Vivi's definitely gonna show up. Because we see they're above Egghead, I think. With Morgan's. Vivi's definitely going to show up. That's going to be really cool. We might see her be taken in by the revolutionaries temporarily. Or she might come back to the crew. I'm hoping that. I'm beyond hope. I know I'm beyond hope at this point. I cannot wait. Like, as you can see, this arc is just... It's compounding on itself so much. There's so much stuff happening. The Seraphim are actually a threat to even Yonko level commanders, Yonko level combatants. Like, I want to see if Luffy can take one out. Because I think we were really underestimating King at this point. If the Seraphim are this strong, we are really underestimating King's abilities. And I think it was just him being stupid that led to him not being able to fully take advantage of it. And I cannot wait to see where they go with this. But back onto the final war stuff, right? If we see... Okay, obviously they're going to escape. Right? Escape to Egghead, yeah? Or not Egghead, Elbath. And this arc might be longer than we expect, because I expected this arc to end by the end of this year, but I don't think it will. I think Egghead is going to be the center of this final war. I've come to that conclusion now, because they're sending 100 ships, man. There's been people talking about how this might be bigger than when they were sending off the Whitebeard, because they actually have to... They're coming to Luffy at this point. Luffy is the thing that set off this war. Vegapunk and Luffy set off this war, and it is going to be fantastic to see Luffy get that respect. And I cannot wait. Let's talk about what I want to see this arc now. I need to see a you can't touch the king moment. You know what I mean? You know when Marco came up and stopped Kizaru from going near Whitebeard? That's exactly what I want to see with Luffy. Luffy's just standing there, and Zoro and Sanji just block Kizaru or Saint Garcia from getting to Luffy. And we see him just being like, "You're not touching the king." You know what I mean? That would be so good. And I need to see that. I know it's like, oh well, it's just copying Whitebeard. But come on. When it gets to that point at that period of time, that is just going to be such a high level of greatness. And also, hopefully, we get to see Cross Guild take advantage of this and try and capture more Marines. So we get some Mihawk and Buggy showing up and doing stuff, and we get Crocodile showing up, because he's going to want to... Like, Crocodile is a businessman, so he's just want to go there, and he's going to want to actually capture some of these Marines, because they're going to have some vice admirals there, some vice admirals there that are going to fetch them good money. Do you know what I mean? They can go... I know they're the ones putting the bounties out, but they're still going to want to... They're going to want to be able to do that, you know, capture... There's going to be pirates coming to capture the Marines during the war, and I'm sure they're going to want to be directly there to take them in. Do you know what I mean? And Mihawk's going to want to go there and have some fun, probably, because he wants to see what happened with Zoro. Surely when he hears that Zoro's been to the land of samurai, he's going to want to see where that is, and like in terms of where that brought Zoro. You know, he fought with Kaido, and we might hear about a ton of this stuff, right? Because you're going to have loads of really strong, powerful beings there that Mihawk might want to know and fight against and have some fun with and test his abilities. You know, you might want to test where Straw Hat Luffy is now, because he's apparently a Yonko, right? And there's even the possibility that Mihawk has some connection to Emu because of his eyes, so when he hears the 5 elders are there, maybe something's going on there, you know? And I'm really excited to see where we see Mihawk, whether it's going to be Elbath or whether it's going to be here in Egghead. This arc is going off the wall crazy. And I, for one, I'm super excited to see where it leads. I'm going to be honest, it's absolutely crazy. There is so much here. There is actually so much. There even talk with we haven't even gone on about the cover story. This cover story, I don't talk about the cover stories much, but this cover story could mean a lot. At this point, we could see Jerma showing up because we got the foundation of Neo Mads with Caesar and Judge, and also there was a callback earlier on in the arc to Hogback as well, and his ability to, you know, with the whole wheels and stuff. Also, can we just talk about, I know Oda probably just googled it, was like, this is a good callback, but like, if this was planned out, the whole like foreshadowing for Vegapunk's main ability and how his own, like, he can control the own will of his creations, that's brilliant, man. And I hope Hogback might show back up in the story. I was talking about this with a friend of mine, but he was saying, I thought for sure what happened after the Chopper fight was he fell under a rubble and died. But I guess not. And if he shows back up again as part of Neo Mads, and we get to see Neo Mads doing some stuff, and it's a three-way war between the revolutionaries, or a massive war between the revolutionaries, pirates, marines, and now Neo Mads. This stuff is going to be absolutely wild, and we have a melting pot of different resolutions we can have. We have Sanji and Judge. We have Zoro and Mihawk. We have Dragon and Luffy. We have the Marines and the 5 Elder Stars. We have the O'Hara incident. We have everything melting into one massive showdown. And I can't wait to see where this goes. I am excited. I don't know. It's just crazy. And the fact the anime hasn't even gotten to that stuff yet. Like, do we understand? We're hyped about what's coming in the anime now with, like, gear. All the gear stuff, Gear 5th, where the finale of the Kaido fight. Like, it's gonna make stuff better 100% because we're gonna have more, like, because with Oda, right? Oda is a brilliant writer, but when it came to Momo, for example, because panels, he made Momo's thing very small panel-wise, so it's gonna really help that the anime is gonna give Momo a lot of focus, I hope, because they're gonna want to extend the Kaido fight, so they're gonna give Momo a lot of focus. I even hope they might rearrange it to a degree to have Momo take more focus in that moment and then have Luffy's thing be a bit quicker, because at the end of the day that was the main character we wanted to focus on for that. But generally speaking, I am over the moon at the potential for this arc, and the fact that when the anime gets to this point, we are going to know so much stuff is happening and there's so much going down. I cannot wait. It's been lore dump after lore dump, and we're gonna get some really solid action. I thought we were gonna go to Elbath, and that shit was gonna go where everything went down. But no, it's going to be Egghead, and personally, I am just so excited, and I can't wait to see where this arc is going next. And because I probably cut the previous part, I just wanted to show this off. This is so sick. Oh, this is so sick. If it wasn't, I need to cosplay Whitebeard at some point. Crippled Whitebeard. That stuff would be hilarious, to be fair. I don't know though if I could pull it off. Probably not. Have to get a wig.